This is the Schwinn 270 recumbent bike, all out of its box. All the parts laid out, and it was a little daunting seeing that box full of parts, but actually once you get it laid out, it doesn't look like it's that many parts to put together. And so I'm going to be capturing some clips of the various assembly steps.
So as you can see, the first step in assembly is going to be to attach the feet or the bars to the bottom of the main body, which comes all assembled. The body's already assembled, and we'll attach those bars as step one. Okay, so as you can see, there are two main, what we'll call feet. One has like what looks like a handlebar on it. That one actually goes towards the back of the bike, which is, if you look at them, that's the side that it's standing up and down on right now. It's going to go on the back. And this one right here, the one with no handlebar, will go towards the front of the bike where the pedals are. So you'll see the feet actually come with the hardware, the screw and nuts, lock nut and washer already on. These are there, although it does come with the screw pack. These screws are already there. I've taken this one out. When you put it in, you will put this onto the bike, which will sit on top here, and this screw, just as they have it assembled, with locking washer and then washer, will go, if this my thumb is the bike, is going to go through all of it, just like that. And that will be the same with the rear as well. So this is the front. These can be taken out just with your fingers. You can just leave them on there just like that, just as they come off. Set them to the side. And there's really, okay, so this is the rear. And they're going to want the Schwinn logo to be able to be seen, so I've got it laid out here exactly how it's going to go on. The Schwinn logo will be facing backwards, and also so that when you move the bike, you can lift up on this bar to lift the bike up. Same assembly as the front. Set it on there like that. Sometimes in threading a screw, you need to back the screw off. I was always taught lefty loosey, righty tighty. Turn it to the left and push down until you kind of feel a click, and you know that it just passed the thread. Then you're ready to thread it down. And I'm going to tighten these down the rest of it with an Allen wrench. And we'll go to the next step. This is your hardware kit. What I've done, really the only tool you should need to bring to this is something like this, a knife or a razor blade, whatever. For various things, there's some zip ties you may need to cut off, opening the box, cutting into this, but otherwise all the tools should be provided. But we're going to start using hardware here. Now to our next stage of assembly. You have this part here. This was actually through here. You don't want it to be there when you put this on. So push that out like that so it's sitting here for the time being. And this is going to go through there as well, because this bar is going to sit in here like this. Right, so you threaded that through the hole, and then these two will connect. Just like that. I'm going to get the hardware and we'll connect this here and this here using the appropriate hardware. And it's going to go on just like that.
Okay, so as you can see, I've got it sitting on there now. I've actually put one screw in up here so that it stays on here. That's what I would recommend doing, is just getting on there to hold it. And I've got to put the rest of them on. This is going to take 4, and this is a different screw. As shown in the instructions, the different size screw. The one part that was a little confusing, I wasn't sure, I had to make sure of, is you're going to be screwing in, putting the screw in this way. So you want this bar on this side. So as you can see, and which will be included in the instructions that come with your bike, the next step here is going to be attaching the seat and the back to the seat. Okay, so the back of the seat, and right here, it's going to kind of sit in there for now. It's not secure, it might fall on me. It does, it's no big deal. And then the bottom of the seat, here you can see those. There's holes where the screws are going to go and whatnot. Actually, just kind of rests right inside of there. Right inside the holes. And then we're going to put the hardware in, the screws and whatnot. And that part will be done. So again, I've got my hardware assembled. You're going to need these little ones, and which there are a bunch of. These are going to be the last of them. There's 8 left, which I'm using right now. This back actually uses 8 screws. 2 here, 2 from this side, 2 from this side, and 2 from that side. So it's going to use a total of 8, and we'll put those in. Again, not too complicated. I've put that together. One thing is this one will use the 4 curved washers. The curved washer is for sitting against a curved surface, such as this bar underneath that this is going through. So when you put this on, you actually want the washer, the curve of the washer, to sit against the bar. That's why it's curved, so that it sits flat against the bar. Just make sure that that bar is sitting inside the curve when you put it in there. And that's it. That part will be done. I'm going to attempt to show you what I mean by the curve here. If you see like that's not sitting flat. See how there's a gap there? That's not how you want to put this washer on. It's designed, you want to turn a little bit, so there, now it's sitting flat because the concaved part of the washer is sitting up against the rounded part of that pipe there. And then we'll of course tighten it down. We need to, it's a little tricky, but it naturally will kind of, once it gets to a point, now it won't move, just like that. Then it's just a matter of tightening it down the rest of the way. Assembling the back of the seat goes pretty straightforward. I would start by putting the outside screws in first, just to hold it there in place. And then once it's not going anywhere, these inside ones are going to be a little trickier because your seat's in your way a little bit, but now that it's stabilized, it'll be much easier. There you have it. There's 4 there, and 4 there, total of 8. That was actually the most laborious part of this whole thing so far. The ones on the inside especially are a little tricky. So like I said before, I would definitely recommend putting the outside ones on first, kind of loosely, because you want it to have a little wiggle so that you don't have any trouble getting your inside ones in. And then put the inside ones in good and tight, and then finish up by tightening your outside ones down the rest of the way. Okay, so the next 2 steps here are pretty basic. It's got this little cover here that appears to be toolless. It must clip on there on this little lumbar area between the back and the bottom of the seat. It's going to sound just like it shows in the picture. And the next part is going to be to screw this little adjuster handle on. It looks like it must just screw right in there onto the receiver end. So that part looks like it's going to either screw over or into that. I'm not sure which at this point, but pretty straightforward. This part, yeah, it's going to pressure fit over the bar right here. The bar will sit into that. You want this part with the little U in it,
You actually want that in the back, and this part in the front. I'm just going to clip on there. These wires here should be clipped together at this point. Okay, and I'd kind of lay them to the side like this, so that when this covers it, you want that to be inside the enclosure, covered up. You don't want it sticking out the back or anything like that. But I put it in there where it can't come unplugged, and just simply push that down. That's it. So again, pretty straightforward. Here's the bar for making the seat adjustment. Just screw it right in there. That's it. Now that that's in there, push down on it, loosens it, pull back up, tighten it. You've got it the height you want, wherever it is when you're using it. And again, back here, I tucked those in there when I put it in here earlier, just to show you this again. I kind of fold that under like that, so it stays good and tucked in, so nothing gets unplugged. Next step here is going to be attaching the little plastic cover here, which looks like it's just going to slip over the top. But this bar, the handlebars are going to slip through the middle and screw down, so you'll need to put the cover here on first and set the bar in. And I'm expecting the cover to kind of lift up so that the screws can be put underneath, at least the way I'm seeing it. We'll see how that's done. Okay, so when you get this is already rubber banded up here, however yours comes rubber banded. You don't want to take that off, because that's going to help you out a lot here if you're doing this by yourself. It's going to hold that up there so it doesn't fall through when you're working with this. So you're going to grab this and stick this through. Just to get out of your road, just stick it on there. Okay. And then these little cords are going to connect. This one's pretty straightforward, pretty basic. This is a little trickier. You'll see that it's got a little knob there, and this has got a notch hole. So that's how it goes together, just like that. Okay, so it clicked in. I'm going to click my other one. It's in. Then put this over the top, like so. Now I don't need this out of the road because again there's going to be a screw that goes through here to hold that in place, and then up top your screen will mount. So I'll pick back up here in a minute. Okay, so in assembling this part, there's going to be one here, one there, and there's going to be two on the back side here. Once those are in, you'll cover it up. It's just going to push on there, like so. I'll go ahead and show you this. I already got one in there to stabilize it. Got my part already together. Again, these are curved again, so you want to prepare yourself because it's going to be curved surface it's going against. They're a little tricky for some reason. I'm not sure why they are.
That'll give us some play. There, now we're going in. Trying to tighten down too much and it wasn't on there flat. Sometimes you need to loosen a bolt so that you can give room for the other ones to go in the way they're supposed to. So you get the idea. Put all 4 of those bolts in. Okay, so the next step here is going to be attaching the interface, the screen, to the bike. Here's the screen. Here it comes in its own separate box. If we flip this over, the screws you're going to use are already in it. Okay, we're going to pull those screws out. We're going to put the screen up against this. We'll put the screws back in. Okay, so haven't yet pulled these screws, but before you screw it on there, you need to connect these cables. I'm not going to connect them yet. I'm going to unscrew the screws first. It'll be easier without it connected. But you'll connect these, then put it against there and kind of feed these down the tube. And we'll do that, and then screw it back on there. I'm going to take the screws out. Okay, so there you have it. I've taken the screws out. I'm going to now connect this up. Again, there's a notch or a little tab. It's going to go into where there's a notch. You can kind of see that. There's a notch on the top. Clips in there. Likewise with this. Clipped in. Now you're going to feed these wires down the tube. They need to be out of your road. Let me screw this on here. There you go. Yeah, here's the first appearance of the Schwinn Multi-Tool 3000, otherwise known as a Phillips screwdriver. This part is useless as far as I can tell so far. I don't think we use this end. We actually used this earlier to attach the seat. It required the use of this Phillips screwdriver. And this will be the second time we're using it. We're just going to put these screws down. I'll put this one down and I'll assume you can figure out the rest. You have it. It's all on the bike. Alright, so our next step is going to be to attach the pedals to the bike. I must repent of my former somewhat mocking tone of the Multi-Tool 3000. We are going to use it. The bigger part here, the biggest one, it looks like. Don't know that the smaller one's going to fit. I'm not sure that any of them are going to fit. That's kind of strange. Okay, I may be taking back my non-mocking. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just supposed to turn on there. Not sure. We'll check that out here in a little bit. But somehow this tool is supposed to be used. Put that on there. We'll take a closer look once we get down. There is a right and a left. Right. Left. Just like your feet would go on it. Big toe. Small toe. So that's how it's going to go on the bike. Here we go. This just screws right in.
the bar here is threaded. This is the right foot. And that's just spinning as it's supposed to. So this is where our tool is supposed to come in handy, I believe. We're going to put it on there with our fingers though first. A little tricky. Fairly tight there. Now this has got to go around here somehow. Okay, that's it right there. The rounded one, these have a point, like a hexagon. This is rounded. You want to use the rounded part here and tighten it the rest of the way. Quite a bit more spin in it left than I thought. It's not really easy to get too tight with your fingers, but get it the best you can, and then there you go. Now we're getting tight. Okay, so that's on there. Now we will do the other side, and I'm not going to show that, but just repeat the steps for the other side.
I'll show the other side, but I decided to for two reasons.
Number one, I wanted to point out that this is actually going to be a lot easier to put on if you spin it so that your pedal is being installed in the air rather against the ground, so you don't have to struggle against the ground. And number two, most things screw in righty-tighty, right? Lefty-loosey. Well, this one is actually, the left pedal actually turns on, tightens by spinning it left rather than right. So I'm going to finish up the rest of this, but I just thought I'd show you that.
Okay, so the last step here is going to, well, not quite the last step. The truly last step will be to simply install your foot straps. But we're going to put this little multi-tray, whatever it is, to hold stuff. Pretty straightforward. I'm not even going to show the assembly. I mean, you just put the tray on the bar here, put the two remaining screws, your only two screws left at this point. They don't give you any extra screws, so don't lose anything. And then we'll put the straps on and you'll be done. I forgot to show. I'm not sure where in the instructions they told me to put this on, but somewhere. This little trim piece goes in here like so. It looks like the closable end goes towards the front of the bike and the closed end goes facing you when you're sitting on the bike, and then straight away to the pedals here. Again, these do have a right and a left. These straps, it says right. You're just gonna, if you want to use these, I don't know that I even will. I've never been a real big fan of these, but you can put these on if you like. I'll let you do that. Put them on in there. So I'm going to move this into place. Pick it up by the handle on the back. It's got wheels in the front. Not the biggest wheels, but they help a little bit. The power plug-in is actually in the front of the bike, which I don't necessarily like that so much, but it is what it is. So I'm going to face it that way, where my power outlet's at. Okay, I actually turned the bike the other way because the cord is just long enough, which plugs into the front here, if you back it up to an outlet, it is just long enough to reach the front. It would have been nice if they gave you an extra even foot or 2 feet. It would allow you to lay it under the bike. But as it is, there's really not enough cord to do that. So, unfortunately, you could always, of course, get an extension cord or whatever. So, not a huge deal. The other thing I don't particularly like so far are these foot pedal straps. Not a big fan of those anyways, but these aren't exactly practically adjustable. Yeah, you can adjust them, but it's not a real quick and easy thing. You got to kind of work at it for a little bit. Sure, you could have it done in, 20 seconds or so on each side, but it seems a lot harder than it needs to be.
We're going to learn to set this thing up. When you turn it on, it just shows January 6th of 1994. These up arrow pads, looks like is where you set it, so I'm going to change it to today's date, which is actually April 1st, so side arrow to go to the right. It is April Fool's joke day, April Fool's Day. But I ain't fooling. These arrow keys. I just changed to 2000. Apparently, so 2016. I'm gonna hit OK. Okay, it wants me to enter the time. It is 12:54 a.m. These arrows here, right and left, to move to the next position, and up and down to change the numerical value. And hit OK. User. Okay, I'm user 1. Welcome, new user.
basically, there's lots of different programs. You can go through the programs just by clicking program, and here's your up and down arrows. I'm just going to go with the first one that comes up, quick goals, and hit OK. Time is blinking if you hit enter or OK again. You can set your time. I'm going to set my time for an hour. Its default is 30 minutes. I'm going to set it to 60 minutes. Okay, I'm going to hit OK. It's going to start. Alright, now you can use your resistance up and down to change your resistance. Currently the default level is 4. Gives you a speed and your calories, which is based on your height and weight. They're preset into your user. So I've selected demand, so it's based on what I've put in there. Now, if y'all want to go to 12, which is probably going to be my general setting, you can go up and down with resistance, or you can just hit 12. Right there. Or 25, or 18, or 7, whatever. Okay? And it'll take you for an hour. Okay? Now, it's got this jumper here. Any cord will do. Any headphones jack applicable cord will do. But it has these speakers down here, and also a fan. I'm going to turn the fan on. One click sets it to high. And I'll just load Netflix here. How about that? And we're going to play it through the speakers. Now the volume is controlled solely through your device. There is no volume control. There is no volume control on the actual unit. The volume is controlled through your device. So if you don't want to use headphones, these speakers are actually pretty good. And you go. This is the Schwinn 270 Recumbent bike, all out of its box. All the parts laid out, and it was a little daunting seeing that box full of parts, but actually once you get it laid out, it doesn't look like it's that many parts to put together. And so I'm going to be capturing some clips of the various assembly steps.
So as you can see, the first step in assembly is going to be to attach the feet or the bars to the bottom of the main body, which comes all assembled. The body's already assembled, and we'll attach those bars as step 1. Okay, so as you can see, there are two main, what we'll call feet. One has like what looks like a handlebar on it. That one actually goes towards the back of the bike, which is, if you look at them, that's the side that it's standing up and down on right now. It's going to go on the back. And this one right here, the one with no handlebar, will go towards the front of the bike where the pedals are. So you'll see the feet actually come with the hardware, the screw and nuts, lock nut and washer already on. These are there, although it does come with the screw pack. These screws are already there. I've taken this one out. When you put it in, you will put this onto the bike, which will sit on top here, and this screw, just as they have it assembled, with locking washer and then washer, will go, if this my thumb is the bike, is going to go through all of it, just like that. And that will be the same with the rear as well. So this is the front. These can be taken out just with your fingers. You can just leave them on there just like that, just as they come off. Set them to the side. And there's really, okay, so this is the rear. And they're going to want the Schwinn logo to be able to be seen, so I've got it laid out here exactly how it's going to go on. The Schwinn logo will be facing backwards, and also so that when you move the bike, you can lift up on this bar to lift the bike up. Same assembly as the front. Set it on there like that. Sometimes in threading a screw, you need to back the screw off. I was always taught lefty loosey, righty tighty.